Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 10, playing through hard mode. In the last episode we started working on the mega reservoir. You can see the beavers had made some good progress, although in this district they are waiting on wood right now. We're a little bit short, only have 10 in this district. We have 147 in total. We do have a couple tree farms over here in this district, the district of Waterfall Heights, and then in the lower plains district we are constructing another forester right now. And then we'll also get a fluid dump set up, which will irrigate this area, and then we'll be able to plant even more trees. We want to switch this to bots for now. Looks like we only have one job that is unoccupied by a bot, and we have just under 4 days left of the bad tide. It looks like we are starting to run a little bit low on water. We're going to start pausing some of these fluid dumps for now. And then in Waterfall Heights, they are actually almost completely out of water. We are going to make sure that we have enough beavers working in here. Looks like they are moving water around. We want to make sure that we don't have this set too high. It is set to 0%, which means that they will export water until they run out from this first district. I'm hoping that we'll make it through without running out of water. Looks like we have almost 200 beavers now, 17 bots. We're doing pretty good. And in the last episode we also started constructing all of these water wheels. We're making good progress. Looks like they're just working on these last few rows, and then we'll also be able to detonate this dynamite hopefully during this next wet season, and then we can construct some floodgates across here, and then that will be able to divert the bad water during a bad tide, and then we can start filling this up with water when we finish constructing it. And since these guys are short on wood, I think what we're going to do is make sure that we get the path going over here, and then we're going to start cutting down some of these trees. Might as well maximize as much as we can. I know that I haven't been uploading quite as frequently as I have in the past. I do apologize for that. Life has gotten a little bit busy. I do appreciate you guys bearing with me as I'm trying to upload more videos. Hopefully I can get back to a good schedule coming up soon. It looks like another one of the problems that we're facing in this district is that we are actually short on gears. We do have another gear workshop that we created. We want to prioritize it by haulers. And it looks like planks are also becoming a little bit of an issue. Might need to unpause this again and bump it back up. It does look like we have enough beavers to work, so that is good. Although we're still a little bit short on wood. That's what I'm hoping this second forester over here can help deal with. And we have a massive amount of thirsty beavers. That's not good. They have basically no water. We can start putting more beavers in here, I guess. Let's try and have this obtain water, and then we'll prioritize it by haulers. Maybe that'll make it easier for the beavers in the district crossing to come and get the water and then bring it over here, because there are a lot of thirsty beavers right now. And I think it's appropriate to pause the fluid dumps right now, because that is not as important as making sure these beavers stay alive. We still have 1,000 water in this district, so I don't think we'll run out by the end of the bad tide, which is good news, but I am still worried about these beavers over here. One thing we can keep working on is getting the dynamite placed over here. We just need to make sure that we high prioritize it, and then we should be able to detonate it after the bad tide is over, and then we can put in some of the floodgates. It does not look like we have an excessive amount of dynamite. We have about 30 explosives, but we do have a lot of extract, which means that we can look at lowering this area right here. So we'll just go ahead and put that in, and then if we can get that constructed before the next wet season is over, that'll give us a little bit more water storage capacity that these pumpers can work on during the dry season, because we're getting into the hundreds right now, as you can see we just were, and I don't want that to happen, especially when these bad tides and droughts are getting longer. I think the last one was like 15 or 18 days, and they can potentially be double that length, so we would not survive if that were the case today. We have just under a day left, and the beavers of Waterfall Heights are still thirsty, as you can see over there. They're doing okay in the lower plains district. We have about 100 water left. Food is looking good. Wood's doing okay. It looks like it's gotten, whoa, that was very quick. Looks like they have gotten a little bit of wood in this district as well, enabling them to continue working on the mega reservoir. And then we will be detonating the dynamite over here shortly, although I want to wait for the wet season to occur so that most of the water, or all the water, can come through here, push the bad water out, and then fill basically everything up here as quickly as possible. We have some more unemployed beavers, and you know what? I realized that we don't have any water pumps set up in this district, which is not what we want. That's not good. We're gonna get some platforms built really quickly just to get a few water pumps set up. So now that we have these prioritized, hopefully they can start working on them. Looks like in this district we have 30 planks and 60 wood. That's not a whole lot. I don't know exactly if that's going to be enough to construct all this, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. One thing we can do, it looks like we have 4 unemployed beavers in this district, and then back in the main district we have 6 vacant jobs. So we're going to actually migrate a few beavers back over, and so that will help with the food and water in this district since there'll be fewer mouths to feed, and then this district can take on a little bit more. And then we can also start unpausing some of these water pumping jobs. And the bad tide has officially ended. The water is coming back. It is very much needed. We're down to 800 water at this point. And the beavers are working on getting these constructed. Hopefully we can get these water pumps up and running pretty quickly. And we can go ahead and lower this. Start dumping all the water back into this district. And we've almost actually finished constructing all the dynamite over here. We will definitely be able to detonate that before the wet season is over, and that couldn't have happened at a better time because this is just all drying out and now the water is coming back. We're going to drop the exporting threshold of planks down a little bit. Looks like that was preventing the beavers from moving them over into this district, and these guys are a little bit short. They only have 1 plank right now, and they only have 2 pieces of wood. That's not good. Now the water is flowing all the way over here. We're going to go ahead and detonate this. So now the water is splitting. We can go ahead and get some floodgates set up. It is a little bit less important that we finish this before the wet season is over, because if it's a drought, it won't really impact anything. And if it's a bad tide, then the bad water just splits and goes in both directions. If we want to maximize water storage and the next event is a bad tide, then having all of these unpaused would make the most sense, because if we can have the water not go through here and only go this way, then we can save this as a little bit of water backup and then release it into here as the water pumpers are working. But wow, look at the water backing up all the way over here. That's pretty cool to see. And this actually will give us a bit of extra water storage capacity. Ooh, but it looks like the beavers are just about done over here. Since we are just so short on wood, we're going to get a second, or I guess third forester placed over here. And then we're going to get some wood that is a little bit quicker to grow up. We're going to put some pine in, and then also some birch over here. And I don't remember exactly what the range was for the irrigation. All this water over here is what's irrigating the land in this area, and then the water over here is irrigating everything around it. But it's not going to be quite as large of a range when these water pumpers pump this all down. Gears are still a problem. We only have 6 right now. Planks haven't really gone up a whole lot. They're hanging pretty steady in the 50 to 70 plank range. And we can go ahead and switch the fermented mushrooms to fermented soybeans for now. Although, oh my goodness, we have so many fermented cassavas. Since we have all the dynamite placed, we're actually going to detonate it. And let's go ahead and do that right now. Whoa, there is a massive hole that just opened up. That'll give us just that much more storage. We are slowly starting to go back up in water in this district. Food is still a little bit of an issue. And it looks like we have another bad tide approaching, so we have 3 days to get as much water as we can. And since we've only filled up about half of our stores, I think what we're going to do is switch a bunch of these water pumpers to be bots, and that's going to allow them to be pumping around the clock. And I'll probably also want to prioritize these by haulers. We're going to also try and get this constructed over here. That way we can have the bad water diverted in this direction, and we won't have to get rid of the water over here, because this will be some useful water during the next bad tide. It does look like we have had some trees grow up, and that means that we can go ahead and get a forester set up. This guy will be working his tail off over the next few days getting some of this wood. And you can see the water is really backing up. We don't necessarily need it to be stored over here. So we'll lower that just a little bit. And then with this almost finished, that is going to be good news that we can keep the water over here. Ooh, but there's a little bit of flooding. You can see the beavers have been making their way along this wall and along this wall as well. The next thing that we'll want to do is make sure that we connect this area right here. And then we will be able to finally start filling up this reservoir. One thing we can do in preparation is not forget to mark all these trees to be chopped down. I'm notorious for forgetting to do that and then just letting the trees sit there and grow up. And as night begins to set, we do want to start lowering this. The water is going to stop flowing through here, and we're going to start avoiding the water from this area because we don't want the bad water to be stacking up in this area and then killing off some of these trees. I'm hoping that this will be wide enough to keep the water elevation low, which I didn't actually think of until just now. I am not liking the fact that the water is spilling out over here, and I'm also not liking the fact that the water elevation has risen. I think we're going to lose some of these trees here pretty shortly. And as you can see, we have a 16-day bad tide. I think that's the longest one that we've had so far. We did start laying out the groundwork for getting the rest of this mega reservoir created. They're going to probably have to make some of these platforms over here in order to build this a little bit quicker. Otherwise, they'll have to go from the sides, and then they'll have to go one levee at a time, and that's not quite as efficient as this. They are still desperately low on wood in this district, which is not great. Our tree farms are still pretty small. In this district, they are making good progress planting the trees, but it's going to be quite a while before they grow up. It looks like these ones are going to be probably another 20 days or so. But we can go ahead and switch this to bots, and it looks like the water overall is actually doing not too bad. We can go ahead and slowly start lowering this just to get some of the water in here. One thing we can do is expand the tree farm areas over here. It's not a whole lot, but we can place some trees down in this area. And then we can do the same over here. We'll just need to leave a little path for the forester to get down in this area. And unfortunately, it does look like the bad water, oh man, it killed off. Oh, we need to unpause this, that's why. We need some water in this irrigation hole. We should also look at getting some treated planks set up, because if we get those created, we can start using these in order to block everything over here. And then that should prevent these from dying in the future. It's only 400 science, so I think it is well worth it. They will not be able to build any of these right now, but as soon as we get this woodwork shop going, then we'll be able to start making some treated planks. And it looks like they are starting to go up in planks now in this district. They have over 100, which is good news, but they're still pretty short on wood overall. Since we are so short on wood right now, but it looks like we do have a lot of explosives and we do have a decent amount of extract, we are going to go ahead and start lowering this whole area. That way we can get some more production set up, although we'll still probably focus on this area first in terms of setting up more production, but down the road we'll be able to add some right here. We are also working on getting some stairs up into this area. That way we can get another lumberjack flag set up and we can start accessing some of the trees that are up here. And it looks like the wood workshop is up and running. We're going to go ahead and prioritize it by haulers, and then we're also going to look at the distribution limits and make sure that we can be sending the required materials over here. Unfortunately, it does take logs and treated planks in order to build these, but we'll have them start working on it. We are going to set that down to just 5%. We don't have any storage in the main district right now, so we can go ahead and set this one industrial pile to treated planks. And I think I'm going to actually lower it all the way down to 0 right now, because we're not using any treated planks in the Lower Plains district. Looks like the beavers have been doing a great job pumping the water. We're going to go ahead and switch some of these back to beavers, and then we'll go ahead and switch these ones to bots just to make sure that they can pump as much of this as they can. I think we'll need to probably add another irrigation pond somewhere, because right now we have one right here and over here, but after this all gets pumped dry we'll probably need to add one somewhere in this area, but I won't really be able to tell until we've pumped some of this water and some of this water down. We can also go ahead and get another large storage over here. That way these guys can pump as much as they want without having to run all the way over to this area in order to place the water into the storages. But we can make this a low priority because it's not super important right now. We now have some bots and beavers delivering the explosives and the extract in order to start lowering this whole area. We're also making our way with some of the trees over here. It's not going to be a whole lot of wood, but every little piece counts now because we're only barely at double digits in terms of wood. In the Waterfall Heights district, we're doing pretty good on water. We're doing about 400 right now. And I think that pausing these couple breeding pods plus sending some of the beavers back into the Lower Plains district did the trick because we're not running low on water right now. And it looks like they did just finish pumping this area out. There's still plenty of water between these pumpers and these pumpers. I just added a third one for this little pool, and we'll see how far they get by the end of the bad tide. Taking a look at some of these trees over here, it seems like some of them are just about grown up. Mainly some of the quicker growing ones. Some of these ones are even getting a little close as well. We are still quite a ways away with these ones, only about halfway there. But these beavers should stop sitting around pretty dang soon. Ooh, and it looks like we actually are maxed out on our soybeans. So we're going to go ahead and switch this large warehouse to fermented soybeans. And then it looks like we can keep the two storages set to kohlrabies for what they are. Based on the irrigation we have in this area, we can't quite fully irrigate all the trees over here. I think getting one more irrigation area set up in this spot will be a good idea in the future. But for now, we can go ahead and just plant some more trees over here. And all of a sudden, we have a bunch of trees that are popping up. We can go ahead and place a few more lumberjack flags. It looks like we do have an unemployed beaver in this district, plus we have a few more in the other district. We can go ahead and send some of them over to the Lower Plains to help fill some of these vacancies that we're going to be creating. Considering we are still short on gears, we're going to go ahead and make another gear workshop. At this point, we should also probably switch a couple of these over to bots. Looks like we have a good amount of bots right now. Some of them are in jobs that we're not completely utilizing, like these builders huts. And we do have some stuff that we're building in this district, but overall I think the beavers can handle it with some of the builders huts that they have. Wood is finally on the rise again, although I think it might be a pretty short burst, unless... yeah, these are still a ways off. We could start harvesting some of the wood over here, and considering we have so many unemployed beavers, I think that might not be a bad idea. Looks like the beavers of Waterfall Heights are finally starting to make some good progress with this part of the reservoir. My hope is that we can get at least part of this stacked up, and maybe we can try and get 2 tiles high. Although I'm looking at this and I realize that I don't actually want these top rows to be levees. I'm going to have to switch those out to be dams. And hopefully they can get this created by the next wet season. That way we can start filling some of this up and have at least a little bit of storage for these guys to pump some water. Even though they are doing pretty good, it's only gone down by about 100. We still want them to be able to do some pumping during these wet seasons, or not wet seasons, during some of the dry seasons and the bad tides. And this is the last piece of explosives that they are going to finish creating. Now let's go ahead and detonate all this at once. Now that just leaves this whole section. We're going a little bit low on dynamite. We're still doing pretty dang good on extract, so we'll go ahead and start adding some of these in. And then I want to double check that we have all the explosives factories up and running. Looks like they are in here, but we can switch that to bots. It is the final day of the bad tide and we have over 2,000 water. We're doing pretty good overall. Wood is still a little bit lower than I'd like, but it's not at 0, which is good news. And you can see the beavers right here. They are nearly done getting at least part of this part constructed, which means that we should be getting a little bit of storage during the next wet season. The beavers are also making pretty good progress over here. They're putting in a lot of explosives, but we will not be able to get to it by the end of this episode. Instead, we'll have to detonate it all sometime during the next episode. Overall, we made quite a bit of progress on the trees. You can see there is just a humongous forest over here. So we are in a pretty good spot in terms of wood production. We still have a little bit of a backlog on projects, as you can tell by the wood count right now. But I'm guessing sometime during the next bad tide or drought, we should start getting a lot more wood since a lot of these trees will be growing up. So if you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and smash that like button. I really do appreciate it. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.